Mobile Industry Review, Mobile Developer TV.
Is the network ever going to be good enough to locate people properly, or are we always going to have to have something on the phone?
Okay, that's a good question. The remote locates can be of two types. It could be the simple, get the cell tower location, which is, it's not super precise. A lot of operators have implemented, most operators have implemented systems that do things like timing advance and some triangulation effective technologies, which, make it more precise. And then there's a whole new breed of phones coming to the marketplace, which are what I call secure user plane GPS phones, where with that same server-side API, you're not just getting the cell ID, but you can get the precise GPS, as precise as you would on the handset. So these server-side technologies effectively are going to be at a state where you can get as good, and in fact better information than you would on the actual handset, because you're able to use some of the intelligence, doing timing advance and other things on the cell ID network. Yeah. So my comment on sensors, because we also have a lot of products in the safety and security area, is you tie health and any other kind of personal information with location. We think the eventuality, perhaps in 10 years, is you make a 911 call, and it's more than just some imprecise location that shows up on the terminal of the 911 operator. It is your precise location with a continuous feed that they feed to the EMT or the police officer to see where they are. It is also the fact that maybe you have diabetes and you're low, your blood sugar is low. Maybe with an accelerometer they can see that there was an impact. Maybe you got into a car accident. They can see where you were, right? So we see sensors as being combined with location as offering phenomenal services, especially on the kind of the safety and health from a health perspective. And by the way, these are services that people will pay for. People will pay more for that than they will for voice service on a phone, is the way it's going to end up working out, the way things are going right now. Yeah, so we're thinking about that on the safety and security side, and the examples that I gave, pilot is very, very, very similar types of things. I also think that a big with location, I'm thinking kind of years out, maybe not 10, maybe it'll happen sooner, but the location is context. I mean, that's really what it is, right? It's like, let's call it 50% of context, okay? So which means it's the most important layer. We all focus, we call it location, we're really talking about context. So you add context, and you add the fact that you have a mobile number, which is effectively your ID. Okay, I mean, our VP of product management, who lived in Seattle and Boston and a bunch of places, still has a Seattle phone number that he had that he got years ago. It's still a 425 number. So it's your ID effectively, and so how identity and context, which define you as a person, right? Think about it as well as from Facebook Connect perspective, how that ties into all of your experience. So everything you do a search. If I know who you are and the context of what you're doing, right? Maybe you're on your phone and you're walking down the street, or maybe you're driving, or maybe you're just at your PC, right? At home versus being in a hotel room, right? Adding context, identity, and feeding that into digital experiences is the holy grail. I mean, I think it's what everybody, is counting on. And that's what obviously, I think Google's grand strategy is to, be effectively the center of that. Because when you have the context and the identity, you're able to better monetize every digital page, search, whatever it may be. And that's the holy grail. So it's very important, in our opinion, whether it's carriers, WaveMarket, that we participate in that chain, because that's where the monetization is going to be happening with location. So that's where we think long term. It's the means to the end is the strategic decisions we're making, but that's where we know it needs to happen. The phone, your identity, your context, location, and how that feeds into all different kinds of searches and actions that you take. There are operators who absolutely get it and are investing in, algorithmic systems that are, that are there to take on anybody. And there are operators that don't. And I think for the most part, U.S. operators kind of get it and understand it, and the U.S. is a high-stakes game. For the operators that don't, not only are they going to become effectively not just, pipes, but the dumbest of pipes, where you're really in the way and you're continuously being squeezed from a commodity perspective, because you're completely undifferentiated from any other bit. You're just a bit, okay? So that's going to be a stretch, especially with power of handsets, and you're really just a SIM card at the end of the day. So that is a scary proposition, right? I think, and there are other operators that get it. But if they're in markets with operators that don't get it, unfortunately, everybody loses. The operators need to realize, in my opinion, that they have a customer base, but that customer base's value more than doubles when they add another carrier, Okay, that there's a network effect of them being part of an entire system.
Like SMS?
Like SMS, of course. And so location and context need to be done that way. To take advantage of the fact that Google can only really locate, let's say, or get context effectively on 10 to 15% of the marketplace right now, and their intention is to get 100, and the operators combined can get 85%. It's sitting right there for them. It's an opportunity that where the window is going to close. I think we all know it, but it is an opportunity for them to participate on that right now. This is not a how do I take on Google? It's how do we. It's very important because one operator may have 25% of the market share, and if they go down one direction, they don't have the scale or the network effect to build out.
Developers.
Developers are going to say, "Oh, why would I build it for just this one carrier?" Okay, so think collaboratively like you did on SMS. Think about that way for location, and make sure you're taking advantage of the assets you have. And the assets are you have a trusted relationship with an end user. An operator like Vodafone or BT or O2 has you trust them. Their dial tone. Your grandparents use them. They're going to be around. Take advantage of that. What does that mean? That means making sure that you're educating users on privacy and permissions, and that you're going to make sure that they're protected. Okay, it's an asset for you that internet media companies perhaps don't have as much of. Take advantage of those assets. Take advantage of the fact that people view you kind of like they count on you for things like safety. So if you're going to go after any vertical services, go after those. But I would say collaborate and then take advantage of your assets.
Mobile Industry Review, Mobile Developer TV.